a movement that has now overwhelmed the earth. What are you doing? Who, if you were your authentic self, would it free? Who would your transparency of being your authentic whole self, who would it give emancipation to? I told this story, and I'm just going to run right through it because it's in the first session that I sat on Facebook Live. This is last year, doing just a moment with Glover, and I was talking about how appreciative I was, and got into some transparent moments. And I went right there. I didn't hold back. I didn't say real names and stuff like that, but I definitely gave my story, a piece of my story, and people loved it. People said whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't months later when I come back to Milwaukee and people actually stopped me and said, you don't understand how it saved my life. A moment of transparency, a moment of being whole, taking the risk, making the decision that I'm not going to hide whatever part of me feels uncomfortable to somebody else. I can't match if you appreciate, like, enjoy my flavor, if I can call it that, right? My character. But my character sets somebody free. My character is illumination to somebody else's dark world. So I can't turn out my light because somebody else is going to die, stumble and fall in the darkness because my illumination was not there. And that's what he called me for. You're called to reach somebody I cannot reach. Jerry's called somebody, I'm just seeing names on here, I'm just gonna call them out. Jerry is called to people I will never reach. Chad, Matthew, these people are called to different areas. And just because you've seen how one person do it does not necessitate that's how you're supposed to do it. But make a decision, first of all, because if you're hurt, you're going to impart hurt to somebody else. Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody and it didn't matter how positive you were, they seem to always swing it to a negative? Like, the sun is beautiful. Yeah, it's a little bit too light in my eyes. I've got this eye condition. Oh, well, at least the wind is blowing. Yeah, but it's a little nippy. Maybe I should have worn it. It just seems like whatever you say, they just take it with a slant. Number one, I don't need your energy in my space. Now that's one thing. Control your energy. Control your energy. I don't need that type of energy. But two, I have to understand that there's something else. I'm hearing the after effect of a trauma. Why are you so bitter? Why are you so not whole? In December, I came back to Milwaukee for a celebration of my book. It won an award, and they wanted to honor me, and so I came back for it. It was not a good time in my life, going through a lot of things, battling depression, and I was like, well, my mom, of course, like, you need to come back, blah blah blah. It'd be a good relief from just the throes of life. We all have been there. And so when I came back, I had one experience that I talked about last week when we talked about from church hurt to church heal. But there was another part that as I was meditating, as I received instruction that I needed to go back to back to my stepfather's gravesite and release the hurt that I had and write a letter. Now, this is not my norm. It's not things that I do. I don't do graves. I don't do funerals. I don't do blah, blah, blah. And mind you, my stepfather, who I looked at as my dad for so many years, died when I was 3 or 4. 3 or 4. But there was a hurt that I carried. There was a brokenness that I carried that I didn't even identify until I had no idea my brokenness about them, because I'm 5 or 6. So life went on. My mother remarried, and there was other things, other traumas that I had to endure. So I didn't get a chance to even think about that until about 5 years ago. I knew that I did not like when people moved or when people, it's called separation anxiety, right? When people go off, you have this whole thing, this whole episode that may happen. And so one day I was actually helping one of my best friend in Atlanta was moving, relocating to Washington, D.C. And I went over to help pack and get things done. I was fine. But all of a sudden, I pulled up. At the same time, I had a different best friend that had just he didn't relocate, but he had given his resignation to our local church. So he was leaving the church. So it was still a separation. And the separation of two people that were very close to me overtook me. I did not feel it coming. I hadn't been sad. I was talking to somebody on the phone. Literally, listen to what I'm saying. Talking to somebody on the phone as I'm in the parking lot of the person that my best friend I'm going to help pack. I'm sitting there, going to finish this conversation real quick and going in there and help pack. And they were talking about, well, something seems odd with you. They were able to hear something different. And I'm like, well, I'm fine, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, are you sure? Is it because, and they just happen to say, is it because your best friend is leaving, or is it because your other best friend left the church? And when those two came together in that sentence, I had to hang up on the person, and I had a full, no, I didn't hang up. I started breaking down, and I'm like, okay, this can't be happening. This can't be, like, it was amazing to me. It was as if I'm having an outer body experience listening to my own self. And so I'm sitting here like, oh my God, I can't believe this. People are leaving me. I can't take it when people leave me, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God, do you know you have anxiety and separation? And I'm just crying, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. Now, mind you, I had judge me if you want. I had a shot or two, so my inhibitors were down as well. So I'm like, it's just flowing, and it's like I'm actually listening to myself have this experience, and all of a sudden I said, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. My dad left me, and blah blah. And they were like, yo, dad. And literally, I had not even rehearsed it, never had thought about it. I was, what was I, 39, 38 or something. Died when I was 4. 34 years later, had never contemplated this thought. That my first separation anxiety happened when my stepfather passed. And I never dealt with that. So it kept remanifesting itself through my life journey. But I had, and even if I tried this or tried that, it would work for a while, but something else would happen because I was dealing with the leaves and not the root, if I can put it in that way. I was dealing with systemic stuff and not the actual cause, the core, the root, the trauma, the actual trauma. I had never remedied the trauma. And so now I'm like, okay, in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, so back then, deal with it. David, you're still in psychology. I wasn't a doctor. I hadn't had my doctorate at that point, but I had psychology behind me. So like, okay, talk it out, think, let it out, release it, and let's just see where it goes. Okay, so I did all that. So I thought it was resolved. But when I got here in December, I heard clear, write a letter of release and go to the graveside. Now, I had not been to that gravesite since the day they lowered him at 4 years old. Hadn't been. I don't even know where he is, but not even the location on there. But because I knew that this was part of my healing process, I had to be strong and make a decision. I'm going to follow through with it. And I did so. Went, of course, found the plot, had to go and get the instruction, whatever. Went, found it, read the letter, and I was a weeping. I was a well. It took me a long time. But it started a process of healing. And do you know that there were some things that, some anger management problems that automatically fixed itself because I fixed the actual problem. Sometimes we're walking around and we think we're blaming other people and we think other people are the problem. I just don't like people who have a nasty attitude. I just don't like this, or I just can't take it when people, or that's just my temperament. Some of that is not actually you. It's not the original you. It's not the you that was designed. It's the you that was developed from a hurt that's unhealed. Some of that will automatically, when you face, and it's going to take you to be brave. It's going to take you to actually, have an accountability partner. Part of what some of the steps I said, make the decision, and then start using a SMART goal process. Now, there's a thing in certification as a life coach and an executive coach and a consultant. There's called SMART goals, which is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. Now, if you need this, or say, put it in here, saying that you need it, and then I'll go ahead and put it in the comments. But make a goal. I want to move past this. Now, in this journey, you don't always know how long the journey is going to take. Unlike our GPS systems and navigational systems today, it usually will tell you that it's going to take you to 13 hours to get from Milwaukee to Atlanta, 12 hours or 11 hours if from Chicago to Atlanta, all those different things. You don't really, it doesn't quite work that same way. But you do have to make a plan, a goal. I want to deal with. Let me tell you another, and all this is in my book that's coming out. Yes, but God knows your atmosphere. Energy understands when the time is right. Have you ever felt a tugging? Put this answer. Have you ever? This is at your question. I want you to respond to. Have you ever had a tugging about it's time to deal with something? Something kept coming back up, and you knew that was a signal. You may have ignored it. You may have then just finally went and addressed it. But have you ever had, like, when it's time to deal with, like, something just keep coming up and I've not dealt with it from my childhood, it's from my last marriage, from my last relationship, from whatever it is, from friends that I got into it, whatever. There is a way, there is a system that happens. There is an energy that reverberates and finds its way at the appointed time. That it's time for you to deal with a situation. Thank you, Jason. It's calculated and it's beyond you. But your whole posture, your whole energy understands it's time for me to move forward. I feel stuck. And a lot of times our stuckness is due because we have not been made whole. So you have to specify, I'm going to deal with what? Get that thing on what is it that has been holding you back? That you've not dealt with? That it's painful to even think about. Now, I will be undutiful if I don't tell you that you want to seek professional help as well. It is nothing wrong with going to see a therapist, a counselor, a life coach, executive coach. Now, I say, of course, do your homework, make sure that they're, legit and all that, but there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. I tell you that you should have one, not when days are bad. I can't deal with it. I need to go see. That's a good, please go. But know that it could have been preventative if you had a cycle of once a month, I go just to check in. Because sometimes you can't even see the load building up on you. Sometimes you don't even notice day-to-day activities, and it's wearing you away. It's eroding your joy, your peace, your mindset. It's eating it up, and you don't see it yet until you finally break down and lash out. And then what happened? And then now you got all this pent-up anger, but you could have eradicated that. Life could be very different. Some people would not be in jail. Some people would not be dead. If they had used the system of actually just a check-in with their therapist. I just need to go somewhere and talk. You are not Superman or Superwoman, and you are not an island. The first problem with any mental challenge is isolation. That's why we now I'm say this way. That's how we kind of know who's really severely traumatized enough to commit suicide are the people who are not screaming about it. I'm going to commit suicide. Now we got to please take every threat serious. They said you got to take it. But those who don't even know that they're suicidal by mind are actually worse, because it'll just take a trigger and no one has any understanding of, oh my God, what happened. But to the person that has been showing it, at least you know, okay, I need to look out for them. I need to call, check on them. But you need to be able to, number one, to get some help. Who are you accountable to? Who are you checking in with? I tell my friends all the time, told one yesterday, professional help is okay. It's not a bad thing. It's not you're a bad person or you have failed. You have not failed because you have to